stuff like that, of course, was real life. I'm not against black people, gay people, men or women. I make jokes a lot, but from my heart, I really feel for a lot of people and their problems. I'm not going to tell the people on my platform what to say or how to think, whether you're a Republican or Democrat or whatever you are, an independent. But I would like on Patreon, this is my family. So I'm going to talk to you as the father of the family. I would love for you people to enjoy the show, not argue about things. You could do that on your own time, not in my family's time. I'm not going to stop anybody from being on it. I'm not throwing anybody off. I'm just stating my opinion. So if you talk to me and you think I'm a fascist or a racist or whatever you think I am, I'm not any of those things. So I don't need comments like, I'm on your side, we're together, and we hate somebody. I don't hate. I really do have a lot of love in my heart, especially for the people who've come on Patreon, paid to come on Patreon, paid to support me. I want to be able to protect that and protect that right. It's our family. And if you don't like certain things, keep it to yourself sometimes. Have respect for everybody who's part of the family. Now, if you have opinions, I'm not looking to curb your opinions, but if they're off color a little bit, I curse a little bit, I do things off color myself, I say stupid shit sometimes, but I try to be respectful to everybody. And I wish you would conduct yourself the same way. Okay, I wanted to be able to say that. So I'm going to talk to Peanuts to ask the questions, and I'm going to answer the questions the best I can. And there is no script. I work with somebody else. Is there a script? Do you practice? I'm not a good reader. I'm not a good somebody who can read a script or a story to you. Everything comes out of my heart and my brain, as best as I know. I could be wrong sometimes. Some people say, oh, I think you edited some. We edit all the time. I slur my words sometimes, or I'll forget a name. And my team does edit and takes out a goofball thing I say or something. Not much. They do it in a good way. So I don't want you to think, that we don't. So I want to answer that person who asked me that question without even going to that person. It's not necessary. But now I'll answer the questions. I'm sorry it took this long, but go ahead, Peanuts, answer the questions.
All right. Just want to make sure you guys can hear us okay. I didn't see any comments that you couldn't hear him talking that whole time, so I guess we're good. First question we have from you guys on Patreon from our post previous. Did you know Frank Cali? He was killed in Staten Island a few years ago. He was the alleged boss of the Gambino family at the time.
I knew of him for a long time. He had very powerful connections in Italy, Sicily, I believe. He has family there. He has his roots there. I hear he was a very good guy. Everybody earned under him. He was reasonable. He didn't order murders. He didn't do horrible things. So everybody seemed to like him. I didn't know him personally that well to have a better description of him. But the people I talked to were high level, very important people, and even underlings who were main guys and associates. And he was a good guy. And some screwball killed him. It wasn't a mafia thing. It was unrelated. And it's really a shame. It's a shame not only for him, but anybody who gets killed like that for no fucking reason. And so go to the next question.
How good of a shot are you with a gun?
How good of a shot am I with a gun? If me and you were facing off with guns, well, you wouldn't want to be on the other end of my gun. I think I'm pretty damn good.
Sammy, you hear wise guys are good cooks. Which wise guy do you remember being the best cook?
Well, I really didn't know too many guys who could cook. That wasn't something we brought up a lot. And I don't know personally. I mean, I know I can't scramble eggs, so, I'm not in that category, I guess. But I don't know exactly who was a good cook. I know my son, even though he didn't belong to the life, I didn't want him in the life. I know he's a great cook. And his menus and stuff that he's working on. We're even working on a show where he's probably going to open up his own little show about cooking. It'll be affiliated with me, of course, but it's coming down the road.
What would you tell a kid today watching who is on the path to being made?
I would tell them not to do it. First of all, for a few reasons. First of all, you're going to become a target for law enforcement, especially the federal government. Right now, they're not killing people, so that's not a problem. But focusing on your life on crime is going to be a mistake. You're going to go to prison. Sooner or later, your best friend is going to betray you sooner or later. There's so many things in this country is wide open that you could become anything. I would put made guy really close to the bottom of the list. All you have to do is study, pass tests, have a vision for yourself. This vision isn't really a good one. It's a mistake. You may feel like that because you're a young guy, you have balls, and you're feeling your oats, and this fits my lifestyle. I'm a tough guy. A tough guy gets married, has kids, goes to work, breaks his fucking ass, and takes care of a family. My father was a tough guy. He never killed anybody. He never cracked an egg. He never did anything illegitimate, but he busted his ass for our family. And that's important. That's a tough guy. There's thousands and millions of tough guys out there working hard for themselves, their families, their friends, their neighbors. That's a true tough guy. Don't underestimate that. And that's about it with that.
All right. Why did the feds send you to a supermax and not some lower level prison?
The feds, there was a couple of reasons why they got away with sending me to the supermax right away. I didn't do anything wrong in prison to warrant that. But my background, my past, my history was violent. That was one reason. A second reason, I cooperated with the government and I got a slap on the wrist for my first case. I did 5-year sentence. I was their boy, so to speak. When I recommitted, they take that as a personal insult, a blow to them, everything they did for me. So it's time to break his ass again. Thirdly, is that they wanted me to cooperate against Bosco, who was the head of the Westies. He took it over. He fled the country and they never caught him. He came back into the country with blueprints of military bases. And I don't know exactly what he was going to do, but obviously he was going to do no good. They caught him. They wanted me to testify against him. I was the only guy who could put him away because he's the guy who fixed the guy jury back then. He knew the person who was the jury foreman. We did all of that. And the government wanted me to cooperate against the people in Arizona, my wife, my son, my daughter, their friends. I'm going to leave this to your imagination at what I said. They couldn't convict Bosco. They had to release him in 5 months. From the government loving me, and I'm their boy, so to speak, they hated me with a passion. And they wanted to break me, my spirit. We'll get him now. We'll break him. And they put me in the ADX Supermax. Those were the reasons. That's what made me survive 6.5 years in the hole. I knew what they were doing. And I refused to let them break. And that's why I was there.
All right, out of these three, who would you say was the most vicious? Tommy Karate, Roy DeMeo, and Greg Scarpa Sr.
Oh boy, what a threesome this is. I really don't know. You know, when you get to that level where you lose your sense of what you're doing, like when I went on a hit, I have an order, and I understand the guy broke the rules and did things. These guys were killing where it didn't make sense anymore. There wasn't even orders. So they started, in my opinion, enjoying killing people. And I think at that point, in my opinion, you become a serial killer. And I think they all fit that category. Which one is worse? I don't really know. I think this is a tie for first. That's it.
All right. Were there any organized crime organizations you guys were afraid of, like the Russians, Chinese, Mexicans, etc.?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. We dealt with quite a few organizations. The question leaves out black organizations. We dealt with black organizations a lot of times for a lot of reasons, numbers, bookmaking, drugs with some people, and they're pretty tough. The Russians, we dealt with them with the oil and gas. They were pretty tough. But we always felt that if something ticked off between us, we never dealt with them and brought them in that close, so that problem really never happened with us. But we could wipe out a crew in a matter of minutes. Everybody in the mob could do work, meaning this. So when you get a couple of thousand people together that are actually hitmen, when we put out a contract where it involves all the families throughout the country, we didn't feel too intimidated. We worked with them, we respected them, we got along with them, but I don't think we actually feared them because we really weren't doing business with them. There was no conflicts that I know of that were very strong, and we respected their abilities, that they were strong as well.
Okay. Was the Sicilian Mafia and American Mafia the same thing at one point and then split? What happened? Why was the American Mafia more powerful?
I don't know if the American Mafia was more powerful. In America, it was. Because we don't care what you did in Italy. If you were made, we don't care who you are and what you are. If you're made in the United States under the American Mafia, that's what we all respect. You're a made member in the Mafia, the United States, U.S. Mafia. Now, guys could be equally as powerful in Sicily and they come here. They're not made with us. We respect them if we know who they are and where they came from, but you're not one of us. Don't fuck with one of us. We will all go against you. But I'm sure if you reverse the roles, when we went to Sicily, are we as powerful as them? If I would have went to Sicily, am I as powerful as Sammy the Boat or John Gotti? Fuck no. They had all of Sicily. So when you're fighting them over there, you're finished. So each country had their own strength, their own power, but we did have a mutual respect because that's exactly where Cosa Nostra started from day one, way back in the 12th century. And then it spread years and years and years later to come into the United States because of the war. They were fleeing the war, and it went to other countries as well. Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil. We wound up Canada. We wound up all over the place. So I think each place has its own credibility. We're no tougher than Sicily. Location dictates it. You could be the toughest guy in the world. You walk into a bar and there's 15 guys. I don't care how tough you are. You're going to get your ass kicked in. And it's that kind of, I'm trying to explain it the best I can. Adios, amigo. And go to the next question.
All right. A-Light said in an interview that Gotti never wanted A-Light to be friendly with you because he thought that one day Gotti was going to use A-Light to take you out. Did you ever suspect why Gotti never wanted you together?
No, I never suspected that he didn't want us together because he had plans to use me. We kill each other when we're friends and close. So I don't think that was on his mind. I heard later on that when he was considering to take me out, that he might have used A-Light because he wasn't around me as much, not as friendly. He was with John Jr. And I don't know what the thinking was back then, what went through A-Light's head or John Gotti's head with this plan. I know John was developing a plan. He got caught on tape. That's how we all got pinched. Pushing these phony lies about me. He was trying to drum up support for what his move would have been. I don't know if A-Light would have been the shooter. It doesn't matter to me one way or another who the shooter is. It's the plan and wind up getting killed. I don't give a fuck who's going to do it. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter. That's part of the life. I know him well. I could say he's definitely a friend of mine. He's a tough guy. All of his transactions with John and that crew, I was more close with Frankie Chico and the Paul Castellano side of it. He was close with that side of it. So we didn't have a lot of transactions, meetings, conversations. So I don't know about any of that.
All right. Did you ever have any interactions with Joey Testa or Anthony Center? Why, in your opinion, were they never made?
Well, they were Roy DeMeo's top shooters. They were just as vicious as Roy DeMeo. They did get made. We used them to kill Roy DeMeo. Those two guys are the guys who killed him. The contract Paul had for Roy DeMeo went to John Gotti first. Paul picked up that John was just shaking in his boots a little bit. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate it, but that's what Paul felt. And he was very nervous about going there. Roy DeMeo, not only him, but his whole fucking crew were extremely dangerous. Paul wound up taking the contract away from him. He didn't refuse, like some people say. He took it away from him and went to Frankie DeChico and said, I think the exact words is he's shitting in his pants about this contract. So I took it away. I'm going to give it to you. Could you handle it, Frankie? Frankie said yes. Frankie told me about the hit. Paul never said a word to me about it. I told Frankie that that whole crew is dangerous, bro. Be careful when you're gonna make this move. You need my help? No, Sammy, I got this. Okay, you sure? Listen, I got those two guys as two top shooters. I spoke with them. You did. What'd you tell them? I told them they're all gonna get whacked. If you take them out, you two guys take them out, I'll guarantee that you guys, the contract on you guys will be off. You won't get it. They did that. When we took over with John, Frankie, we chased them. First of all, they're betrayers to Roy. We don't fully trust them anymore. Two, we don't like their type of people, the way they kill. We consider them fucking serial killers. They were friendly with Gas Pipe. We released them to the Lucchese family, pushed them out gently in a polite way. And Gas Pipe did make the two of them, from what I understand. So they were, but not with us.
Gotcha. Did the Genovese family not care that Papa signed a voluntary protection order before he joined them, or did they just not know?
They had no idea that that happened. That was way back when we were the rampers and kids. We didn't make a big hoo-ha about it. And Chin, I'm sure, if he would have had any inkling of that, never would have made it. And he saw a lot of bad traits in Papa and eventually put a contract out on him and killed him.
Knowing what you know now and how everything played out, would you have taken John out after the Castellano hit?
Well, in my podcast, I think you've heard it that when I met with Frankie Chico, I wanted Frankie Chico to be the boss. Frankie said he could be a good boss. We're going to be the power behind the throne. Sammy, we'll make him the boss. I'll be his underboss. He can't be mine for obvious reasons. If he doesn't do the right thing, we'll kill him within 6 months. I'll become the boss. You'll be my underboss. And I shook his hand. I hope that answers that question.
Did the Gambino family send Jimmy Heidel through Angelo Ruggiero to kill Gas Pipe? Was this payback or just a coincidence?
First of all, the Gambino family had nothing to do with it. It was John Gotti and Angelo Ruggiero. Angelo Ruggiero went to a guy in our family, Mickey Boy Paradiso, real tough guy, and gave a hush-hush contract to him. Heidel was with Mickey Boy. Mickey Boy went with a crew, shot Gas Pipe. He survived the shooting, Gas Pipe. Eventually, with Dirty Cops, there's going to be a movie about them, mob cops. They picked up this kid thinking he was being arrested. He went in the car with them. After they cuffed him, they stuffed him in the trunk. They brought him to a warehouse where Gas Pipe was waiting. And Gas Pipe tortured him. He confessed that he was with Mickey Boy Paradiso. He confessed that the order came from Angelo. He didn't know about John. He wasn't a main guy, so he wasn't in that whole thing, even though he was going to be one of the hit guys. But Angelo would never do this without John. This was John and Angelo. Reason for what I heard years later, years before, Angelo Ruggiero was being a potential informant. Gas Pipe had a connection with the feds, supposedly, And he told his bosses and people at that time, he was just a soldier, and these things were discussed. No knowledge of Angelo being an informant. The thing fell apart. Everybody was told to forget it. Angelo never forgot it. He knew Gaspard accused him. John knew it. So when John took over, they must have talked. I wasn't in that talk. He must have told him, give it to Mickey Boy, keep it low key, nobody know nothing. So a mysterious hit would take place. But obviously it didn't work that way.
All right. On your last Q&A podcast, you told that you made Gotti Jr. as well a soldier as a capo. Does that mean there's another ceremony when one becomes a capo? And what are your privileges when you get made?
There's a ceremony and a blood oath when you become made. We've talked about that. It's been talked about 100 times, so it's a ceremony. Becoming a gabardine is just an order from the boss. So John gave me an order to take Frankie LaCasio with me to make him a gabardine. I just met him in the street, took a walk talk with him, and told him, John, your representative sent me here. How do you feel about becoming a gabardine? Of course, he answered, I would love it. I told him, okay, as of this minute, I am making you a gabardine in the Gambino family under the boss, even though it's his father. We're talking resolution. John got it. I introduced him to Frankie LaCasio as a gabardine. We brought him back to the club. It's as simple as that. There's no ceremony. And I introduced him to John as the representative. John Jr. is now a gabardine. Then we put some people with him, and we introduced them to him. We put people with him. And that's what it is. No ceremony. Very simple.
Okay. I heard on different podcasts that Gotti Sr. never paid his gambling debts when he became boss. Is this true or false?
False. A degenerate gambler always pays his debts. Number one. Degenerate gambler, I think, actually likes to lose. They squawk about it. That's what John did all the time. Bet on everything. It almost looks like they want to lose. But he paid his debts because you would go once and not pay your debt. Nobody would ever take a bet from you again. Number two, these gambling houses that are run by friends of ours, different families, you can't not pay your debt. They got bosses too. Just because he's a boss, he's going to make a bet of $50,000. He loses, he's not going to give the guy the money. They're going to go to their captain, or maybe he's a captain right from the beginning, and they're going to go right to their boss and say, this guy made a bet, he didn't even pay the fucking money. And bosses make a lot of money. So a boss would say, why would you want to try and disrespect my family and my guy like that? You wouldn't get away with it. You could even go to a commission meeting. They wouldn't allow that. You have to have respect of the people you're dealing with. He's not King Tut. He's not King shit. He's a boss. There's a lot of other bosses. And that's not Cosa Nostra. And like I said in the beginning, who the fuck would take your bet again? No, but that would go right out, and that's not what John wanted. He wanted to bet, pay, collect. It was a gamble, a degenerate gamble.
On a similar note, would you say that John Gotti appreciated the concept of Cosa Nostra at all? His actions say otherwise.
I would say, don't give me that question to answer. Use your own thoughts. Everything that you should not do in Cosa Nostra, he did. So did he appreciate Cosa Nostra? Did he respect Cosa Nostra? I'm going to leave you guys, especially with questions like that. You guys are smart enough to make up your own mind. I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm beating him over the head. He did the wrong thing, obviously. It's in every newspaper, book now. You know, he's not flying high like back then. All of the lies and little fuck ups and everything came out of the closet. So make up your mind on that question yourself.
What was the real reason that Don Carlo passed over Neil and gave the boss position to Paul?
I would assume a few reasons. When Albert Anastasia was the boss, he was considering killing Carlo Gambino. There was a problem. A very, very powerful captain, his brother-in-law, Paul Castellano, came out against killing Carlo. A lot of people were against it. He was very well liked. But Paul's voice moved the needle, and he didn't get killed, obviously. So Paul must have always had that in his head. It's his brother-in-law. He becomes the boss. All of his family, the Gambinos and Castellanos, and remember, they're related, would be taken care of, protected. Those things must have entered his mind. Thirdly, Neil was doing time in prison. You don't want to let the guy in prison as the boss. So his thoughts were, I don't know the conversations he had with Paul. Obviously, I'm not privy to none of that. But now I'm hypothetically thinking. And he did recommend making Paul the boss. Now, may open up a door to a conversation that none of us know. Paul didn't accept that position immediately because Neil was in jail. He was about to come out of prison a while later. And he said, before there's a vote to put me in, I want to wait for him. He is the underboss. Maybe he wants to throw his hat in for the vote to become the boss. Because if Neil came out and said, I want to be the boss, Paul wants to be the boss, he has Carlo's recommendation, now the captains vote on it. He wanted to wait for that. There was a meeting in Nino Gaggi's house. I'm well aware of it. A long story, I'm not going to get into it all. But Paul told him, Neil, if you want to throw your hat in and put it up for election, I'm fine with that. I waited for you, purposely, because I have a tremendous respect for you. We're friends. Neil answered in front of people, so I know this story is legit. He said, I've been in prison a while. I don't know what's going on with the other families or in the street right now. I think you're in a better position. I loved and respected Carl all my life. I was his underboss. I will go with his opinion. You can become the boss. I'm not going to throw my hat in. I could be your underboss, or you could put your own underboss and bring me down to the position of Gavrici again. In that meeting, Paul said, it was worth waiting. I knew you were a man's man. I have tremendous respect for you. Now, how you're treating Cosa Nostra, not your personal feelings, whether you want to be the boss or not. I would want you to be my underboss as well. They left there in a love fest, so to speak. And they had an agreement. And that's exactly what happened. Paul became the boss. Neil was the underboss. John Gotti and Angelo, I know they didn't like it, and rumors and all this bullshit. But that was Neil's wishes, his thoughts, and what he said and did. And that's what would happen.
Have you always taken guys out with a gun, or has there been a time when something went wrong and you had to improvise and take him out a different way?
It's making me think for a second. But as far as I can remember, I always used a gun. I really wanted to be shut the fuck hit him. These people killing would become killing. But people, when you love somebody and you order to kill, it's horrible. I would take that away. The Cosa Nostra of today, I understand, has a rule: no more killing. What happens? What happens is the FBI starts to back off you. The law enforcement starts to back off you. The public in general can respect you. They don't look at you as animals, killing each other. So what you would do with the person who broke the rules, I think I said this once before, throw them out. Break them. Not from a captain to a made guy or a made guy, we're going to put you on a shelf for a while. Throw them the fuck out of the organization. They're a bad apple. Cops should do that with cops. The mafia should do it in the mafia. Stop killing. You can do a lot of things to make money. Michael Franchise talks about money a lot. He's more of a racketeer and a gangster. And in a way, I agree with him on some of these things. Making money is a good thing for all the people concerned. You can have fun with money. Attracts all kinds of good things. Good looking women, drinking, wine, gambling, fun, vacations. Killing people destroys the mafia, especially in this country. Go to different countries, murder's an everyday thing. You control bodies all over the fucking place. They do it without being a mafia. So if you were in the mafia and you did it in those places, maybe it wouldn't matter as much as it does now, especially in this day and age. So I would kind of try to change that rule and ridicule somebody and throw them out. You don't have to kill. And that's much more damaging than anything. Or give them, this is what you did. We're throwing you out of New York, the whole state of New York. You deserve to die, but we're throwing you the fuck out of New York. You don't have a contract on you outside of New York, but we will put one on you in New York. We'll give you time. If you want to go with your family, pack up your family, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, whoever the fuck you want, whoever will go with you, and go. Don't ever come back. If you come back, we will kill you. That is in our thinking, and that's the new Cosa Nostra. Throw him the fuck out. Let him live his fucking life. See how easy it is without Cosa Nostra or whatever. If he does something completely horrendous, then I guess he would have to go. Maybe. I don't know. And I'm not talking about ratting. I'm talking about real crazy fucking shit. Where, like somebody who becomes a serial killer. You gotta kill him. Somebody who's in your ranks and becomes a pedophile. You gotta kill him. Not rat and everything else. Get out. You're gone. Get the fuck away from us. Period. If they did that, I think Cosa Nostra would be more respected in a bunch of different ways. You don't have to beat a guy over the fucking head to get a job done or do certain things. You could stick the unions on him. There's a lot of fucking things you could do. Nobody wants to deal with him or whatever. There's things you can do to still have a little muscle. You don't need to be vicious all the time.
I think that's a great answer. If Carlo had lived another 10 years, but things would have played out the same with
You think it's a good answer? Yes. because if you fuck up his wife, you know I'm not going to kill you. Is that way?
I already know that anyway.
All right.
If Carlo had lived another 10 years, but things would have played out the same with the Gotti crew, with Angelo tapes and subsequent drug busts, how do you think Carlo would have handled it? Likewise, if Paul had pulled the trigger, would it have meant all-out war, given how close Neil was with Gotti?
Paul was more of a racketeer than a gangster, even though there's a lot of violence under Paul. I think Carlo Gambino was not a racketeer at all. I think he was a gangster, straight up gangster. I think John's problems would have grew very quickly, very fast, and I think he would have probably tried to rub out that whole fucking group. I think not only would he have called in our own family, he would have called in the other families, he would have brought it to commission, he was a politician that way, and John would have been destroyed very quickly. Too many people against you. Paul laid on this problem much too fucking long. He had his legal problems, but you gotta push those. You can do two things at the same time. Go to court and wreck out somebody. And that's what he should have did. But he didn't. What was the other part of that question?
Sorry, no, you're good. If Paul had pulled the trigger, would it have meant all-out war, given how close Neil was with Gotti?
No. We went when their plot was forming while Neil was alive. He was dying of cancer. We went with him. He refused to give the order. He told John Gotti and Angelo, you can't kill the boss. The boss is the boss is the boss. The answer is no. I will sit for you if you want. If you're afraid for the fucking things that you have done, the ugly things that you have done, run the fuck away. So that Neil refused to go against the boss. Too bad Paul never knew that. And so no, there wouldn't have been an all-out war. Neil would have never permitted to go against.
What powers does an underboss have where he does not have to ask a boss's permission?
It would have to be an extreme emergency, like I had that night in, if you watched my podcast, in the Plaza Suite with this fucking screwball. You know, you could get away with that. But the boss is the boss. You must ask permission. You got to go. Obviously, an underboss has a lot more power. He knows the boss. He's putting his situation on the table. He's probably never going to be refused. Very rare. I mean, you know, a main guy and a captain would be refused maybe for whatever their thinking is. And they're wise, these people up on top. They're pretty smart. But when he's getting it from his own underboss, and you got to remember, boss and an underboss, they're like this here. How do you do that? Like this?
Yep.
They're like this. They're thinking alike. Their lives depend on each other. A lot of things. They're attached. I always say, me and John were attached at the hip. Everything that came up, especially something important, we were generally always attached at the hip.
Did Frankie DeChico pass on the contract to kill Roy DeMeo? I understand the Gotti crew did too.
I just answered that from somebody else, but John Gotti didn't pass. Paul took him off. Frankie DeChico got the contract and got it done. And I just explained it a little while ago with somebody else's question.
How close were you with Phil Leonetti? Did you guys come across paths in the system?
I think we were pretty close. I liked Phil a lot. He's a classy guy. He really is. Good-looking guy, classy guy, tough guy. He had a lot of good qualities. His uncle, Nicky Scoffo, was the boss. He became a little gun crazy too. And He was very, very loyal to Nikki. And at the end, he flipped. He just, I guess, couldn't take it anymore. Whatever his reasons were, that's his reasons. I don't know 100%. I'd rather that question be asked to him. And then I was with him for 3.5 years in prison in a witness unit. Me and him were together the whole time. We sat at the table together. We played cards together. We hung out 24/7. We were real close. One day he had an argument near the kitchen with a Samoan guy. This Samoan guy was fucking huge. His hands were just, I never forget it because I've seen him a lot of times, just like this. Fucking hands were huge, big guy. So he was arguing. And this guy, Junior Moran, was with their family. And Junior Moran was in that prison with us too. Junior Moran ran over to me, Sammy, says he's having an argument with the Samoan guy. All right, calm down. And I went over, nice and calm. I wanted to keep it nice and calm. I said, Junior, come. There were about 3 guys came with me. I came along. They were, relax. If Phil throws one ball or him, not even hesitation, the whole fucking 3 of us, we just go right into this guy. Tear him up. Tear him up. But don't talk, don't say nothing, don't be excited. Relax. Phil's handling himself pretty good. Leave it alone. And he did. They didn't fight. And he came over later in the yard to me. He said, Sammy, I love the way you handled that. Junior told me what you said and did. You're a class act, bro. You make a whole big fuss and whatever. And when I was arguing with him for a split second, I caught you out of the corner of my eye. I knew I was safe. The guy was a beast. But he handled himself great. And he's a smaller guy, way smaller than this guy. He's a little taller than me, thinner, but he's a great guy.
Do you like seeing videos of yourself, like in documentaries, to see what they say about you?
Say that question again?
Do you like seeing videos of yourself, like documentaries, to see what they say about you?
No, I don't do that. Generally, I don't do that. I don't care who says what. I've been abused for fucking years. After I cooperated for years, before I ever spoke. First time I started speaking was with Patrick. I did an interview with him about 18 months ago. I started doing this social media stuff in October. So, I don't really listen to a lot of things that are said. Most of the times I don't even know what they're talking about. I really don't even pay no money. I'll listen to a documentary if it was well done. They have different documentaries that catch my attention. My guy, James Carroll, did a documentary about what the hell was he?
Night Stalker?
The Night Stalker. He did that documentary, The Night Stalker, the one with fancy, scripted handwriting in the front. There's a bunch of them.
On
The
Netflix.
first one I saw stunk. I thought it was him. I said, James, you made that one? No, the one that's, and so you have to know it has like The Night Stalker in fancy handwriting. James Carroll did it. He's very, very close to me. Matter of fact, he's in with us now, officially. And so I watched that and I thought it was extremely well done, the way he did it. So I watched some of them, but not just because they mentioned my name.
But that's why we're telling your story now.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. That's exactly why I'm telling my story now, because a lot of things that were said in these documentaries, articles, and whatever, movies, that are really not true. And that's why I'm doing all of this. And that's why I'm doing my documentary, a documentary I intend to do, a scripted show, a hula dance, all kinds of things I'm going to do. See what happens. And
All
that's
right.
peanuts. Just give me a little clue.
I'm going to give you one more question and let you wrap it up. How did other maid members react to Joe the cat wanting to kill his son over squandered money?
There's two ways. I mean, your son is your son. Nobody wants to kill their son. This guy here really wasn't liked. He really wasn't doing the right thing. The father gave him 200,000 and put it on his side. How do I feel about him robbing his father? Taking the fucking money he was trusted with, spending on cars, vacation, whatever the fuck he was spending on. So there's two ways to look at this thing. Is that a son's action? Is that a son who should be treated like a son, respected? Joe the cat might have been looking at it in a Cosa Nostra way. Now, I'll twist the fucking story. It was my son, God forbid, my son I could trust with my life. But I wouldn't want to kill him. Maybe I would feel that because I am a killer. Maybe it would be in my blood to be boiled like that, but I could never pull the trigger. I would maybe chase him. I'd say, listen, son, I'm not your father no more. You're not my son no more. Go in your own fucking life and do your own thing. That money was important to me. You took it and squandered it. You robbed me. You're not even telling me you could give it back. So I could understand a little bit where Joe the cat was coming from. I don't want to make him sound like a total scoundrel. Because you can look at this both ways. And then when you're a boss or an underboss or in high ranking and goes up, that's what you have to do. Look at it both ways. Not just, oh my God, he wanted to kill his son. Oh, I hate Joe the cat. Why did he want to kill his son? There was a reason. The son that wanting to kill him, that makes you, oh my God. The son, when he did the same thing, oh my God. How do you do that to your father? Sonny Francise's son, not Michael, another one, John, became a junkie or something. He did the same thing. He wore a fucking wire on his father. Who the fuck would do that? What do you do? What are you? And does he deserve a bullet in the head? Well, if it was, you want to talk about those in Austria, yes, I believe it deserves a bullet in his fucking head and a few more. If you could put it in his chest, up his ass, whatever. I mean, so there's horrible things. So you can look at this situation two ways. Joe the cat was a sweet guy in a way, but I made a video about him. He was dangerous. And that, people look at you when a guy's going to do his own son, he's pretty dangerous. And it should. Let me tell you a quick story with this. There was a story about an Italian guy who was a boss in Italy, Sicily. And his son and his nephew did something similar. They betrayed Cosa Nostra, something about money, and a whole bunch of bullshit things. Normally, you would die for that. But it's the boss's son and nephew. So it's his daughter, his sister, or whoever's kid, or brother's kid. This guy's faced with a nightmare. And it happens in the month. So you let them get away. But you'll take me. Or you'll take my son, because he's not related to you. Or you'll take somebody else for that same crime. It makes your job as the boss, and it's not just because it's a job. It puts you in a very weird spot. So this guy wanted his son and his nephew taken to a house, put in a chair, and tied up. I don't want anyone to kill him. So he's going to come there and really rip into them, whatever. They don't want. He comes in. And he tells them, you betrayed me. You betrayed Cosa Nostra. You will betray your mother, your family, everything that's normal for a person. But I could not give this contract anymore. So I will kill the two of you myself. Asked somebody for the gun, walked over and killed his son, personally, and his nephew. Cried like a fucking baby. Had them taken out. The family was so fucking dedicated to him and Cosa Nostra at that point. It was insane. But they knew if Cosa Nostra was supposed to be first in your life, above country, above God, above your own family.